I grew up on a vegetable farm. So I grew up homeschooled, and mom and dad started the farm when my sister and I were growing up. So it's always been a part of me in a lot of ways. Yeah.
I met him when I was in high school, and was introduced to that kind of farming and sustainable farming, and it just really resonated with me. But then I went off to college to get an art degree.
Yeah.
When I graduated from art school, it was the middle of the recession, and the jobs were just not available. And so I ended up being offered a job by his father. And then I naturally gravitated towards the flowers at Dayspring Farm and kind of took over their flower share and started like being kind of in charge of doing the bouquets every week. And
Yeah, you've always been drawn to the flowers.
yeah. You know, we lined all this up to culminate in 2020. And then COVID happened. But we were able to survive. Everybody was at home. Everybody wanted to beautify their homes with flowers. They wanted fresh flowers, and they wanted to support local businesses, and they were reaching out and trying to find out ways to help if you put it out there that you needed help. So we did that, and then I took out a social media ad for the first time on Facebook and Instagram, and we just said, hey, you know, we're gonna sell flowers off of our front porch. Come get them. Here's the way you can pay, and here's the way you can do it safely so that nobody feels exposed. People were making road trips from Charlottesville, Virginia Beach, all over Eastern Virginia just to come pick up flowers off of our front porch. It was just like really heartwarming to know that people cared that much, and they also just love flowers that much.
You know, I always think flowers are kind of extra. You know, in a certain way, I do feel like they are kind of extra. They aren't something you have to have. But after seeing that sort of response, there's more to that. There's more to flowers than just they just look pretty and they're just for this event, or they're just for this party. There's a lot more to them, and a lot more depth, and a lot more meaningful reasons people have them in their homes, and it makes you feel different. And we really realized that when I started to see that response.
The way he communicates is in such a special way that people want to work for Paul. They want to come to work every day and work for Paul because he is that kind of team leader. Mm-hmm. He leads by example, and he communicates well. And I'm not sure that I'd be in the same place if it was me trying to lead the team. I'm more of an introvert, and I do a lot of like planning and organizing and research, and it's been so amazing to see how he has skills and I have skills, and we both, somehow it works.
I think for me, flowers have always been kind of something that you need for something else. But I think the complexity of flowers and the complexity of its natural organic shape and beauty, and what it's doing is blooming to produce more. That's it. That's the end goal for a plant, is to flower, bloom, and then go back to earth and reproduce or do whatever.
It's sharing its biggest show with us.
And to be, you know, I grew up on a vegetable farm where you let that happen, and then you harvested the fruit, and then you ate it. And then like this, we're taking something that's happening and cutting it and taking it, and just to look at it.
I think for me, being creative and how we think about like what this place could look like, what if you give us another 10 years, how many established plantings we're going to have here that we weren't able to have at our last place, like all these crops that we don't have yet but we're going to, and just the beauty of being established in a place for a long time really excites me.
It's super fulfilling to be a part of something that you can see but you can't all see all of, in a way. Teaching people how to grow flowers, or how to be outside, or how to work with their body. It doesn't all have to work out, but somehow it always does, in a way, with growing. Because we grow a lot of different varieties, and so one might not always make it, but there's always something that does. And then seeing the beginning and seeing the end result, and the smiles that you get, and just the pure enjoyment of something that, yeah, I already took it partially for granted because I'm living in it. So that's a huge part for me, is I have to be able to receive that sort of encouragement and enjoyment from other people too, to be able to do what I need to do, because it's not always easy to use your body all the time and to be so on.
Work-life balance is something we've been working towards since year 3, really. Just like, I know many farmers struggle with it, because at the end of the day, the buck stops here. You know, when the employees go home and there's still things that have to be done, all the behind the scenes work that happens, all the machine work, maintaining of everything, mowing the grass, you know, keeping things looking nice so that the employees have a nice place to work where they're not wading through hip-high grass. You know, there's so many other parts of it, and it's easy to be consumed by those parts, but you have to find some balance within it so that you can see the beauty, so that you can see what other people see in the flowers and the beauty of what you do.
You know, it's very much a way of life. You know, we don't make a lot of money to just go and do whatever, but we have a lot of value in our way of life, and being on a farm and living on a farm. You can just walk outside and walk around, and it's beautiful. So that's what feeds my soul. You know, I could go do auto tech. I love working on motors. I love that sort of, it just gets me all excited. But this is something that is kind of a little bit of everything, and it's always changing, and it's a way of life. You know, every day is a little bit different, but you're still home.